next morning.
Right, so I've stripped apart a spare gearbox to show you some of the internals of what they look like standard. My actual box I'm going to be using, which is here, is all sealed up and done and filled with oil and torques and stuff. So I'm not splitting that open just to show you, unfortunately. I've got lots of pictures of when it was being built. Now, I did not build this. This was built by GasNGears. He's a guy in Wales. He specialises in gearboxes. He's a machinist, especially for VW stuff. Hopefully the camera will focus. I'm going to run you through what he's done on my box and what are the weak links. Now, this is a spare box I've got. I've already got rid of the outer casing because I got this as a spare box because the casing was actually cracked. I got it free, so that was always a win. Now I've stripped the gearbox apart so I can show you some of the bits inside, and I'll show you some of the main weaknesses with the O2M 6-speed. Now, the O2M 6-speed is stronger than the 5-speed O2J. That's even worse. Obviously, it was designed by VW and that lot to take the 225 brake that these and the S3 made, not 500. And it's not really the horsepower that trashes them, it's the torque. They can't take the torque. Now, for the moment, I've had modifications done to mine and I've got a wave track diff in it. That's not going to make it bulletproof. It may still go bang.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
The only way to have a actually bulletproof box that's reliable and you know will never go bang is put a gear set in it. Now, there's a very popular gear set from Monster Performance, something like that. The GasNGears guy sells those kits. I think Pro Race sell those kits. There's a lot of people running them. You can do a half gear set, which I was tempted to, but it costs a little bit too much for me at the moment with the rest of the build going on, and they do a full gear set as well. But I'll show you the weaknesses. So these are the gears all stripped off. The diffs just sat in a box and they're out the way. I don't need an open diff anyway. So weaknesses for just normal driving, the weaknesses that you get. These are the selector forks. If you don't know how a gearbox works, basically there's the input shaft spinning. All these gears are stacked next to each other in here. They all run off bearings. And the selectors basically sit in here and they go up and down and it clicks them into gears. You can see how this spins separately. You can, there you go, see it's now spinning the shaft. Put it in the middle, it's not spinning it. This one spins. Push it up, which I can't do because there you go. See, this one still spins freely, but now that one's turning the shaft. Basically, it's how you change gear. You can brake these. Now, I haven't changed them. I've still got stock ones because I don't plan on absolutely slamming gears as hard as possible. You can get steel ones. I believe the Mark V Golfs. Mark V Golfs also had O2M boxes that they use. Same casing and all that stuff, but their selector forks are steel, so some people do those upgrades. I think you can get billet ones that cost even more money. I haven't upgraded them. I'm keeping stock. If I get, when in the future I possibly go for a monster gear set, then I'll probably upgrade them then. So these selector forks sit on here and move it like I show you. Now, this is a rivet, and you would have thought that looks pretty strong. Well, no, they're not. They're actually quite known for dropping out. Not even if you give them abuse, just even people that daily drive them, they can just drop out, it seems. Doesn't seem from abuse that they do it. You're just lucky or unlucky if one drops out or not. And obviously, if one drops out, can't select gear. Some people have had it where they can't select some gears. And if that's the case, you literally just can't select them at all. And this actual selector fork, the fork bit, is not moving because that has broken. So, to fix that, what do you do? Well, you drill it out, you tap it out, and you put a big cap head bolt in, put a tack weld on it so it can't come out, and then you grind the head down or use very shallow heads so that they don't interfere with anything. So that's what I've had done to mine. I'll put a picture of it here so you can see. The next problem you have with these boxes, obviously, like I've said, they're never designed to take the power, so gears can be an issue. Just the gears themselves, they're not made for the power that we like to push through them. So all the gears really are not designed to take the power, so that's something to take into consideration. However, if you look at VW's stuff, you can see that's hollow. Reasonable size hole here, but a lot smaller down there. So obviously, if it's hollow, there's going to be some sort of flex. Now the main culprit is this one here, because this has got 4th gear on it. Now look how big that hole is. They're proper heavy. If you've ever lifted a gearbox, the weight is the gears inside. It's the casings are like, I've got nothing, especially these VW stuff. It's like this weird aluminium magnesium stuff. If you ever tried to weld one of these, you'll know how difficult they are. They're a really weird metal. But anyway, so that's hollow. Well, what's the problem with that being hollow? Well, hollow's not it's not as strong as if it was solid, really, to be honest. Other gearboxes, they will be. It's not really fair to show you, but see, the input shaft obviously takes a lot of torque for it. That's only a little bit. This is pretty much solid, this bit here. This is hollow. Now the problem with this being hollow here is that under high torque, just do this for reference, just pretend, I know these aren't correctly meshed together, let's just pretend these gears, this is how it goes and they're meshed together. You'll be driving along, you've got a lot of torque. It's the torque that kills this. Let's say you've got big turbo, you're probably around the 500 horsepower mark. You could be even less and it still happen, or there's people that are more and destroy them, especially if you've got quattro, because there's more stress. You're putting a lot of load on here with these gears meshing. So what happens when these gears are trying to mesh in? Well, basically this happens. Now it doesn't move away at the bottom because it's fixed. The shaft itself actually flexes away. You wouldn't have thought it would be flexing because of how bloody heavy it is, but it's hollow. So under high torque and all that stress, and you know, you could have 500 foot-pounds of torque or even 400, like, it's going to start, there's so much stress on here going through this and the torque that it'll push them away from each other. Now what's going to happen when they push away? These teeth, like I said, these are not the right gear to mesh against each other. These teeth move apart, and when they move apart, instead of being meshed down in there, they'll only be meshed on the edge of the teeth. And when they're only meshed on the edge of the teeth, bear in mind you've got this big torque and big horsepower, it's just going to rip all the teeth off. Rip all the teeth off of 4th, and I've seen some people do it on 6th, rip all the teeth off. Now I've put a picture below of what a gearbox that has this issue looks like. So as you can see, that gearbox looks trashed. All the teeth, it just rips clean off. It will just shred them all off. And then you got to take the box apart. You need to get a new one of these. Cheapest things to buy a second-hand box. Even if you just use the gears inside, you got to clean all the chunks of teeth out of the box and bits of metal that can get all in the bearings, and flush and clean it, and it's a big faff. Bear in mind, and that's once you've already got it off the car. So how can we fix this? What we can do, because you can see that shaft's quite big all the way down, is we can weld a solid steel shaft right in the middle. So what I've had done, I can't remember what metal it is, it's something specific. I've had a solid bar pressed in. So it's actually a press fit, so he's pressed it in. And then to make sure it doesn't come out, it's had a little bit of weld put on it to make sure it has no chance of coming out. So now the shaft can't flex, well, not easily, it can't flex easily. However, you can still have problems with this shaft moving away. You can still have problems with it moving away, and also some people won't go for a solid shaft. The other option is a 4th gear support. So 4th gear support is literally going to run on the shaft, run up against the smooth part of the shaft, and gives literally support. So this is my one here, and yes, I know that's very close. I'm going to be addressing that. This is what the 4th gear support looks like. It's already fitted. I've already set the preload on it, so this is already in place. As you can see, it turns nicely by hand. This box I've actually had all new synchros and bearings and stuff put in as well. And like I said, it's got a wave track diff. This is the 4th gear support, so you've got to do drilling in the casing, and then it's basically got some thin silicone on the outside to make sure no oil leaks out. So the other side of this bolt, and that's just a locking nut, is basically a bit of brass. I'll put a picture below of what one looks like, a picture of one, not fitted. And that's basically, you've got the shaft here running inside the box. That's literally the shaft there where it lives. So it's running past, so this is actually pushing up against the shaft inside, and it's brass. Obviously you've got to get your preload right, but because it's brass, it won't wear the shaft. And this is pushing against the shaft constantly to make sure it can't move away. Now obviously you set the tension on this. If you set it too loose so that it's not touching, the shaft will actually be able to move a bit before it hits it. And if you do it too tight, it will be constantly pushing hard up against the shaft, and it will just burn through that brass insert. Like I said, all my work was done by Gas and Gears. I've got a load of pictures of what the inside of the box looked like, because it was trashed, and a load of pictures of it new with it all refreshed. So this box was a bit battered. There were some broken bits inside. He found a tooth. He found a tooth from another gear set in it. Now I'm front wheel drive. This box is supposed to be front wheel drive box, and it is, as you can see, a front wheel drive box. There is no transfer case, so it should have front wheel drive gears in it, shouldn't it? And that's what we expected. Taking it apart, he found loads of crap in there. The oil that was left in there, I had drained it, was horrendous and horrible looking. It was full of loads of crap and bits. Like I said, he found a tooth actually in there, and a couple other bits of metal which he was very obviously suspect of. It was all stripped apart and cleaned multiple times. Could not find the damage anywhere, which was a bit odd. Checked it all over. The synchros were battered because someone's been slamming gears in it. So new synchros, nearly every single, not quite, but nearly every single synchro was replaced, and I'm going to be putting some abuse in it, so it was worth it. Like I said, the only reason why I bought this box was for the wave track diff, so we took that apart to check it, because they do actually wear inside, and he said it looked absolutely brand new, like it hadn't been used. So we got a diff that basically hasn't been used, and a box with gears that look fine, but it's got broken teeth chilling in the middle of the box. And before we took it apart, he turned it, and it said it was not turning freely. It was really difficult to turn. You could turn it, but it was really difficult. It wouldn't smooth nicely, and it was quite a bit noisy inside. So after more investigations and cleaning everything and checking everything, he rebuilt it all. It got fully rebuilt, all the preloads set correctly for the diff, new bearings shimmed, the gear stacks shimmed correctly, put it all back together, checked it over and we wasn't happy. It wasn't turning as nicely as it should. It was kind of a bit tighter than would go loose, a bit tight would go loose, and you could hear a little bit of noise, like it sounded a bit loose inside, which didn't really make any sense because he'd gone over the whole box, cleaned it multiple times, replaced stuff that needed replacing, and it had been shimmed and preload set correctly. So back, he took the gearbox apart, all the gears came out, he checked it all over. It was only because we couldn't figure out what had gone wrong inside the box. He actually counted the teeth. He counted the teeth to find that this is not the gear set I thought that was in it. Now, this is supposed to be a O2M box out of a Cupra. Now, I can't remember the actual code for that. I think it's like a FZQ, it's something like that. Basically a front wheel drive ratio, and that has to be shimmed correctly for a front wheel drive ratio because the teeth are different. Now, on counting, it did not have this ratio. He counted every single gear, so fair play to him. Now, when it's taken some time, he counted all the gears and looked up online and found what gear set it was. It is out of an O2M box, as it should be, but it's out of an S3 Quattro box. So this stock S3 internals in a front wheel drive case. So it's been shimmed to front wheel drive. After he found out it was S3 gears inside, he put it all back together. It's been shimmed to a Quattro box spec, and it now spins lovely and free. It's really nice how it spins. I'm not going to show you because it's just awkward. So big shout to Martin at Gas and Gears for sorting me out. He's a lovely guy. He's really good prices, really good work. If you need anything, go give him a shout, message him on Facebook, phone him, email him. He just works out of his house, but he does amazing work. Like I said, he also even builds some engines as well. So I'll just quickly go over. So strengthen your O2M 6-speed box, 4th gear support, solid shaft welded into 6th gear, the rivets taken out, and I believe is M8 bolts fitted and welded in place, they can't come out. The next upgrade you can do is steel selector forks instead of brass ones, or they are some really expensive billet ones, but I'm not really sure what the point in that is. Maybe if you're a drag car, maybe it's worth. And then the last thing you can possibly do is a different gear set. You can get big synchro ones, so they're still synchro mesh, sorry, helical mesh, so they still mesh together. They are still noisy because of how big the teeth are. Or you can get full-on dog gears. You've got dog gears, don't use it on the road. You've got a slam gear for a dog box, otherwise you're going to wear them out. You can't just change gear gently. I may go for one in the future. If you want to have a listen or a look at what that's like, if you go over to Nick at Prawn Racing, his YouTube channel, he's actually got a gearbox. He's got a plated diff in it, so it's a little bit more noisy, but he's actually got a gearbox with a monster gear set in it. I'm pretty sure he's got a video of him driving around and you can hear the whine. It has got that race gearbox whine to it. I might do it in the future, but for the moment I'm going to stick with this. I'm well happy, and I'm going to do my best, Martin, to not destroy it. Thanks for watching.